5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome to the Rideshare Zone, where every ride matters. And now, here is your host, Shawn, the Colorado Rideshare Guy.
Welcome in, everyone, to episode number 26 of the Rideshare Zone. I'm your host, Shawn, the Colorado Rideshare Guy, and you can catch me on all the major socials at CO Ride Guy. That's at CORIDEGUY. And for all you podcast listeners, you can catch me on all the podcast platforms. Just look up the Rideshare Zone podcast and catch me there. All right. Welcome in everyone in the chat. We got, let's see. Toyo, call you late? Nah, you're just in time, Toyo. Welcome to the party. Welcome in, Steve. Welcome in, Awesome Amy. We're going backwards here tonight. And we got Twin Pines Studio. Welcome in, everyone. And then all the lurkers that we got hanging out in here too. So anyway, tonight we are giving Waymo kind of a break. I don't have a video picking on Waymo, but I got videos. So, but I do have something about Waymo. So a couple weeks ago, Steve and I talked about Waymo and their departure from Uber in Phoenix. Well, guess what? Those irreconcilable differences are still continuing to grow and grow, because now they've made an announcement that they're going to be leaving Atlanta and Austin. Yep, you called it, Steve. You asked specifically about that. What does that future look like in January 2028? Now, there's still going to be some overlap because of their contracts that run through May 2028. So you'll be able to run on, you can get an Uber on, or you can get a Waymo on Uber, or you can get a Waymo on the Waymo app in Austin and Atlanta starting in January 2028. So they're continuing to move on and venture on out on their own. And we know they had their little, thing with Lyft. I mean, I think, what was that, about 2022? Actually, I have an article about Lyft, and I think it mentions that, and it never even came to fruition. So, Waymo's still kind of out there doing their own thing. Their burn rate, they're burning up money like crazy, and they don't care because honestly, their revenue is growing to match their burn rate. So they're kind of break even now from everything that I was looking at today. I was trying to get some exact numbers, but it's like they're already doing better than Lyft. I mean, breaking even. So guys, be careful, all you rideshare drivers. Please listen to what I'm saying. Yeah, we have a time, picking on Waymo and everything, but they're not an alphabet company for a reason, and raising, what was it, 16 billion when they did their own private fund campaign recently, a few months ago. So this is going to happen, guys. We don't like it. We see all the accidents that are happening, and we know that they're not as safe as they claim to be. But these autonomous vehicles are coming out here, guys. So real quick, we'll jump back over to the chat. We've got a few more people that have jumped into the chat. Welcome in, Rick. Welcome in, Dan. And so, guys, start working on a plan B, because rideshare is not going to be. We think it was bad from the good old days of rideshare. It's going to be dwindling along. So, food workers that just do delivery. You think the market's oversaturated now? What are you going to have when you have a bunch of displaced rideshare drivers that are looking to figure out where to make some more ends meet? that your already oversaturated market's going to continue to get even worse. Unless they start doing something about all these illegal accounts. But the illegal accounts, some of them, are they a bad thing? I think it was Torp I saw him mention the other day was, is it a bad thing having these? Yeah, it is a bad thing. But when they go away, then you're stuck with all those crap orders until the market adjusts itself when they find out people's $2 no-tip Taco Bell orders aren't getting delivered. So anyway, going to have to just be flexible, guys, and keep moving through this. But meanwhile, I think I was, I'll even call it bragging a little bit about Tesla and their lack of incidents. And in fact, Elon Musk, during their second quarter earnings call, he made a comment, says the company's platform has already driven more than 380,000 miles unsupervised ride-hailing across several states with no notable incidents. Okay, that's what he said. No notable incidents. Well, Mr. Musk, let's look here and evaluate this for a second. So, this one was before your earnings announcement. You hear that? Oh, I don't want to turn, but I'm going to just keep going down the wrong side of the road. Yeah, screw it. I'm going down to the next block. And we have no audio, apparently. So, anyway, that all you heard was a turn signal on it. There wasn't any audio. It's your video. Oh, there. Okay, there's a delay. Sorry about that, guys. So anyway, my producer didn't realize there was a delay as bad as it is right now tonight. They were telling me that we were having some audio problems, but we're good. So anyway, so that first one, you saw and you heard the turn signal going on, and it was allegedly unsupervised. We saw nobody was grabbing the steering wheel with it, but it went a half block too early into the turn lane. And then the stupid thing said, this got to be a Florida incident. I don't know where it was, but actually I thought it was Austin, but they were driving like a Florida driver, and so maybe Tesla's doing things right because maybe they're customizing them to the driving habits of people in that particular region. So, if this is Florida, that'd be completely appropriate. It's like, screw it. Well, I'll just make my own lane, and there's no cars in the oncoming traffic turn lane, so I'll just drive into their turn lane so I can get half a block down to make my left turn that I was supposed to make. So, anyway, that's what happened in that video. So, what's up, Tim? Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. All right. So, Elon, that was before your earnings call. I would call that a significant incident. Wouldn't everybody else? I mean, just got lucky that there weren't any other cars coming down the road. Oh, wait. Well, that doesn't really matter anyway, because you could have this happen, and this is kind of a longer incident.
A day after Elon Musk rolled out his driverless taxi service right here in Tampa, it looks like one Robotaxi made a wrong turn, a very wrong turn. A viewer was the one who actually sent us this video from Armenia Avenue in Cypress. That road is a one-way, but not going that way. News Channel 8's Alessandra Young talked with the man who shot that video.
I want you to take a look at this sign. It says one way. Now, one of our viewers sent us a video of a Tesla Robotaxi on Wednesday that was stopped right here. So we spoke to different drivers about their thoughts on self-driving cars.
John Francisco was behind the wheel of his own car, traveling home after work around 7 when he captured this.
It was really scary because, whenever you see somebody coming down the wrong way, down a one-way street, you're always like, oh, what might be going on.
You can see the video showing a Tesla Robotaxi going the wrong way on North Armenia at the intersection of West Cypress Street in Tampa. The Robotaxi logo is placed on the passenger side. At first thought, Francisco tells me he was questioning if the driver knew it was even a one-way street.
And then I saw that there wasn't a driver.
On social media the day before, Tesla announced it was launching its Robotaxi service in Tampa.
I went around it and I'm like, this thing doesn't know what it's doing. It's lost.
According to the map Tesla released, their driverless taxi service is in a small section of Tampa, including West Tampa and Tampa Heights. Drivers we spoke with have differing opinions when it comes to driverless cars.
I think there are safer options. I mean, humans make errors too, but it's different when technology makes an error and a mistake.
They'll learn from these mistakes, and in life, that's how you get ahead. You learn from your mistakes, and then you do better.
Francisco says he has ridden in a Waymo before and had a good experience, but feels like Tesla should do more testing or a pilot program before fully launching.
I'm kind of scared because it feels like I'm being tested on without my consent or permission. Because, we all share the roads.
I reached out to Tesla's press email for a response to this, and I have not yet heard back. In Tampa, I'm Alessandra Young, 8 on your side.
All right. There you go, Elon. Right after you launch your service, that happens. So I don't know how they can flex that they've had no major incidents where there's 2 right there. And again, maybe it's specialized for Florida drivers, but even these Florida drivers thought that was a little bit out there. So anyway, what can I say? Got nothing too significant about Waymo. Robotaxis, they're starting to come out, so now they're starting to show their true colors. There's what we got. Want her to come. All right. What about me? I wouldn't come to St. Louis and report your local news. I wouldn't come to St. Louis. I think I'd rather go hang out in Compton than St. Louis. Kind of same effect. No, just kidding. At least there's better destinations. If you're near St. Louis, then I could drive up to Chicago and get some good food. So, all right. Did you guys hear about the stuff that was going on down in Slidell, Louisiana? This is crazy. So there was a teenager that was arrested in connection of a string of food delivery, DoorDash delivery robberies. So what this kid was doing is, this is why you don't do cash, folks. Let's start this over. Here's a reason you don't take DoorDash cash orders or Uber cash trips or anything cash related. We're beyond that. And believe me, I love cash, but not when it comes to payment for rides and food delivery. But this kid, 16 years old, he would go in an area outside of where he lived, order DoorDash, and then when the DoorDash driver would show up to an address to drop off the food and get their payment, he would strong-arm them into giving the orders. So, he'd rough them up, push them around, threaten them verbally, whatever that he had to do. And this happened on multiple occasions, and then he'd go take off. So for a 16-year-old, he must be a pretty big boy. But again, it's one of those things. Be careful of the surroundings, what's going on, and don't take cash orders, guys. Said he would confront him and forcibly take the food and then leave the area. This is Slidell, so I mean, this isn't like a huge area. It's not like New Orleans or something like that. So, anyway, they pretty quickly caught up with him, and so, anywho, I'm going to close the door on my producer tonight, and they're no longer allowed to comment on anything because they keep coming in distracting me with these false alarms. Maybe more than the news. All right. Hey, traveler, what's up? How you doing, my man? Welcome in. All right. We're always talking about different things to do when you do food delivery, ride share, last mile delivery stuff. And there's always a lot of options. But this guy has taken this stuff to a whole new level that I'm not sure we want to do. But real quick, what's up, Brian? So he says, so what they used to do with pizza deliveries back in the 80s, 90s probably still does happen today. Only difference, pizza shops will ban delivery to those areas. No, it's actually DoorDash. And I saw when I reactivated my DoorDash account last week, it had the option to take cash orders. I'm like, hell no. It's like, oh, earn more money by taking cash orders. So it's at least here down in Colorado Springs and Slidell, Louisiana. So keep an eye on that, guys. And make sure that you got that sucker shut off for those of you that do DoorDash. So speaking of DoorDash and doing deliveries, when it gets slow doing DoorDash, don't do like this dude down in McAllen, Texas. So on July 9th, and remember, McAllen, Texas, we were talking about them not too long ago because they're right, probably right about there. Anyway, on the Mexico border, and there's always sketchy stuff going on down in McAllen, Texas. And so a state trooper pulled a guy over on July 9th. He was in a gray Chevy Silverado. Didn't say what the traffic stop was for. And then he approached the guy, started asking him questions, this and that. The guy was acting suspicious, and he asked the guy for consent to search the vehicle. Guy declined. So, Elfego Salvador Benavides, 65, of Katy, Texas, told the cop that he was traveling from Houston to Monterrey, Mexico. Well, again, he asked to search the vehicle. Guy declined it, and so they brought in Canine Tiro. Canine Tiro alerted onto the pickup and said, there's something no bueno in here. And he was a trained narcotics dog, and he alerted, and so that gave them consent to search the vehicle. And upon searching the vehicle, they discovered my man has been doing a little bit of different kind of gig work than we should probably be involved with. They discovered 23 pistols, and at least 4 of them were reported as stolen, 11,620 rounds of ammunition, which, by the way, is very restricted to transport ammunition from the United States to Mexico, and vacuum-sealed bags for freshness of 2.5 pounds of marijuana. Kids, don't substitute. Why is he taking weed into Mexico? Isn't it usually the other way around? Anyway, kids, don't run drugs and don't run guns. Don't be a gun runner or drug runner to substitute for gig work. And I wonder if did he have his own DoorDash account, or was it somebody else's DoorDash account? So anyway, just your friendly PSA. Don't be a gun runner, kids. There's other gig work out there. American weed is better, says Steve. Apparently so. I don't know. All right. So now that we've done our public service announcement for the week on how to be a good gig worker, let's talk about the companies. So, good old Lyft is now facing, there's a report done by Bleecker Street Research. It's a very comprehensive report. I'll have the link as I do, post all the links from the show. If you want to do additional research, read additional things on it, watch the videos over again, that they've estimated that Lyft has now 1.3 to 2.7 billion of exposure from consolidated rideshare sexual assault litigation, and they only have 533 million in combined legal and tax accruals for this type of activity. So Lyft is going to go freaking broke if all this stuff happens. And you got to consider market share wise, and this isn't like they did some big deep dive, snuck into Lyft and this and that. They had to make a disclosure. It's on a 10K report, and so I'm not even sure where even to fathom 1.3 to 2.7 billion. And so that's where Lyft is going to be done. I mean, Lyft chose to go a different route than Uber. They only got 10% of the market share or something like that. I don't know. I think it's more than that. But yeah, because they're a third of what Uber's size is. I'm sorry, I don't know where I came up with that, but they have 54% more assaults on a per ride basis than Uber does. Now, so that tells you Lyft's safety record is way worse. Now, this doesn't clarify whether it's all passengers, all drivers, all a combination of both. I'm sure it's a combination of both. But this is what you get. I mean, Lyft has decided that they are going to, their focus was the underserved populations. Their marketing and their choice. I'm not making any kind of economic or otherwise, biased comments. That's their own research and their own target audience. So you're gonna get different activity from people. I mean, we all saw the video in the episode, that went through with the crazy Lyft passenger I had. I mean, you talk about feral passengers. She was the cream of the crop right there. She was the queen of them. So, and I drive Lyft too, obviously, if I pick her up. But you get a different type people. But back to this. So Lyft had reported 6,800 serious sexual assaults over 2017 to 2022. So, Steve, and we're looking at another 6,000 from Uber that they've got going on now. Uber's got the wheelbase to be able to handle a lot of this stuff, and they're staying ahead of things and trying to make changes for the better for passengers. I wish they'd do some shit for the drivers once in a while, but here we are out on an island by ourselves still. We'll keep pushing to get that change. But Lyft has a third of the business, 2/3 less business, but has at least the same number of reports. This is absolutely freaking crazy. So I don't know how they think that they're going to continue to survive. They keep doing all this stupid crap. I mean, we jokingly, when is DoorDash and Lyft going to merge? Because that really is the only plausible thing to save either one of them at this point when this kind of stupidity happens. But they probably look at both of them and say, well, I don't want to eat your poison apple. And the other one says, I don't want to eat your poison apple either. So they're never going to come together with it. So this thing's these multi-district litigations that are going on, it's going to keep growing and growing, guys. This is stuff we were talking about and telling you. Now we're starting to see what's going on in the world of Lyft. And again, these are reported incidents. And as we know, once you get people coming out and start to report things, they do get other valid reports that come out too. And then you'll get the noisemakers, ones that aren't valid claims, that just happens anywhere. But this is going to keep growing and growing. So again, guys, you're not going to be able to, even though Lyft doesn't have any autonomous relationships that are functional. Thing with Waymo fell apart. Any other company that they paired up with is now gone and doesn't even exist. So Lyft is doing their own little exercise and trying to make themselves extinct. So anyway, Ben Guerrero, welcome in. How you doing? Let's see. I'm not sure what. Drop something. I'm missing something in the chat, but welcome in, little Ben. All right, guys, some good news here. I should have started off with this one. So pay attention to this one. We got some good news. So remember about a month and a half ago, maybe even 2 months ago, where I reported that they were trying to convince the IRS. One of the senators was trying to convince the IRS to, at least for a temporary standpoint, increase the mileage deduction. Well, guess what, guys? The mileage deduction is here. It's effective July 1st. Okay. Now, the raised mileage deduction. So you're now, instead of getting your 72.5 cents, you will now get 76 cents per mile deduction starting July 1st. So you're going to have two different sets of books now. I'm not an accountant, nor do I play one on television, but this part, you're going to have your up to June 30th mileage. From January 1st, June 30th, your mileage, that's going to be at 72.5 cents. And then from July 1st, so we got to go back almost a month now, the beginning of this month, take your mileage, and that goes on to it's going to be a different deduction. Okay, so when you fill it out, you'll have your stuff from the beginning of the year, and then you'll have your second half of the year, we'll call, for lack of a better term. So make sure you're separating those out right now before it gets too ugly and gets too cumbersome and too much of a headache later. So go back those few weeks, get to July 1st, so you can collect that bigger deduction to 76 cents. For those of you who do some other stuff, have some other stuff going for deduction wise, for like medical care, you can get a mileage deduction for that. And then for, like, if you're in the military for moving purposes, that increased to 23.5 cents per mile. Those of you who do charity work and use your vehicle for it and get a deduction for it, I don't remember what Oh no, that one was 14 cents. You don't get anything more. Thank you for your charity and your efforts. I think it's ridiculous that they only give people for charitable driving 14 cents a mile. That's insane. So again, do your 2-part mileage tracking and keep things going. And we finally got some good news. And it is reportedly just temporary through the end of the year, and we'll see if it sticks. And because in 2025 it did increase to the 72.5 cents, so maybe this will stay with us and we get a little bit more. We'll get squeezed out of it somewhere else anyway. Brian asked, does Uber count as charity work? Well, yes, but they're not a 501c3, but you sure as hell feel like you're doing charity work. Yeah, absolutely, Bubba Sue. By the way, welcome in, Bubba Sue. I didn't see you hop in. And she says, woohoo, more tax deduction. Abso-freaking-lutely. So yeah, good stuff, good news, guys. And the other good news is you all don't have to listen to me babble as long tonight. No, I'm cutting this one a little short. It was a little chaotic, and the kind of like Steve, it gets hot in my house too, and so I just didn't want to do a really long episode. So this one is going to be a little shorter, but we always got to talk about eVTOL, and we've got a couple things that we're going to talk about. Joby here over in the U.S., based out of California, and they now have, and they had a tentative deal that now what's going to happen is that Virgin Air, which is the premium thing, Richard Branson, we're all familiar with him, and Virgin Atlantic, they now have the exclusivity to be the official eVTOL for sorry, I was reading the chat and got distracted here for a second, for the UK. And so this deal was penciled in 2022. So yes, Steve, we'll go back to 2022 and all these things going on. Just because nothing's come to fruition doesn't mean things weren't in the works. So with Delta Airlines, because Delta owns 46% of Virgin Atlantic. So what does that say that may end up happening with the U.S. business and Delta Airlines? Is Delta going to be the preferred Joby partner here in the U.S.? Time will tell with that. But if they're already inking a deal in the UK, then that's probably looking like that's where we're going to be heading. So the Joby will handle not only the aircraft operations, but the route management, and then all the other regulatory approvals that they have to have for the UK Civil Aviation Authority, the CAA. So it's like our FAA. And then Virgin Atlantic will be in charge of the infrastructure integration and then customer acquisition. So it's going to be pretty interesting. Bubba Sue says, means no George Jetson. What? When Elon gets the Terafab plant built up and running in Texas, it'll speed up the self-driving car development. Elon likes to get things built very quickly. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that goes with the Terafab plant. But there's a whole lot of things going on with hydrogen technology that is going on in a lot of the in the background. Hydrogen fuel cells. I know everybody's like, oh, it's a bomb and this. Well, yes and no. It's not. It's not the same. Toyota's has a lot of money going into that, so it'll be interesting to see if Joby, because their investment and partner with Toyota ends up doing some stuff with it. And also, so speaking of, while we're talking about that, the UK, I just got this one just before it came on tonight, and I glanced at it real quick. But the government invests £7 million in electric aircraft, so to help the VTOLs going on. And so the UK government's announced that they're going to have over $7 million of funding to fuel the UK's transition to zero-emission flights. Says funding will help pioneer British companies to develop infrastructure for green flights take off from UK airports. So they're still on the zero carbon initiative, and they're going to be pumping money in directly to places like Vertical Aerospace and Beta Technologies. They're getting like $3 million, and then they're also investing a lot of money into the handling of electric and hydrogen-powered aircraft right there. So for greener air travel, and that's a $43 million package that they're offering to several companies with it. So the eVTOL thing's going to happen. We now not only have the government going crazy with it, we have the U.S. government. We've now got the UK is going all in on this. So, all right. Let's look at the chat, and I'm going to ignore some of the comments because I see once again good old Steve and his going off the rails here. Let's see here. So, no George Jetson. And Brian asks, what about his boy Elroy? No George Jetson or Jane, his wife, says Steve. Toyo, what about Rosie the robot? I know Amy was always asking about that too. Now we got their daughter, Judy. Amy gets Rosie no matter what, says Bubba Sue. Yep, she called first dibs on Rosie, so the rest of y'all are ass out. So let's see. And we're going to skip what Rosie was, what Steve said. All right, guys. What goes up will certainly crash. Well, I don't... Man, how many people said that to the Wright brothers? And look where we are now. And everybody... Remember whenever... Well, of course, we don't remember, but we've all seen, when they used to travel in the 50s and 60s to wear their suit, get their Sunday dress on. It was a big, luxurious thing. This is how the VTOL, EVTOL, the CTOL, depending on whatever type of craft it is, that's the way it was. That's the way it was then. That's the way it's going to go now. And then all of a sudden, you'll have the cheaper competitors coming in, and then meanwhile they're going to build their base infrastructure with military contracts, and that's where you got to really see what's going on with a lot of these companies. And yeah, there's a whole lot of people still saying, yeah, don't buy stocks in all these, but I think it's a time to do that for those of you that do it. Bubba Sue says, we volunteer Shawn to take the first eVTOL. Hell yeah, I'm all in. Somebody get me a ticket. I'm ready to go. Wright brothers did fall until they were allowed to try again in North Carolina. Oh gosh, here we go. So exactly, and that's what's happened with this thing. I mean, Steve, you started off when we first started, doing our Thursday thing. A little before that, we were talking about eVTOL, and you're like, oh, this has been going on since 2018, yada, yada, yada. You're yelling at the clouds, going, oh, it's never going to happen. And I think even Steve realizes it's going to happen now. We're still in disagreement about when. I think my timeline was extended out too far, but we know my timeline is by the Olympics of 2028 that there will be commercial flights, but there's going to be commercial flights before then all over this place, all over this blue marble of our world. So TerraFab may help drive up SpaceX stock price once SpaceX goes public. SpaceX is public, bro. And yeah, Steve's gonna have to wear his kilt, not me. But you give me a ticket. You give me a ticket for on EVTOL. I'll wear a damn kilt for that. Hell yeah. They gotta come pick me up. I'm not flying out to California. They gotta come down here for me. So, no thanks. I'm staying on the ground. All right, y'all. I appreciate you guys. Like I said, we're keeping this one a little shorter tonight. Steve and I are not going to be on together on Thursday. I'll come in and I'm going to do kind of some short weekly update about everything going on, maybe some news stuff that's going on. Haven't figured out exactly what's going on, but we are going to do our second DoorDash evening gig work drive-in live event. Drive-in live event. Is that what we're going to call it? I don't know what we're going to call it, but we're going to be doing that Saturday. So stay tuned for that. And Steve, we never talked about the time. I assume we're going to do the same time that we did, which was 7 o'clock Eastern on Saturday. But I will be back here 8 o'clock Eastern for a little while on Thursday, and that's the other reason keeping this one short, because I'll be doing some stuff on Thursday as well too, solo. So guys, thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. Even though none of you like EVTOL, I still appreciate y'all. You have a wonderful evening. Make a lot of money. Stay cool. Be safe out there. Good night.